My name is Erik Needham. I'm a woodworker here in San Francisco, California. I build all kinds of furniture, but my primary focus right now are these cabinets for modular synthesizers. In a modular synthesizer configuration, it's not wired at all. It's completely up to the user to patch the outputs to the inputs of another component using these patch cables, which, depending on the configuration and the size of the rig, could be limitless in your ability to choose sounds and make changes. My primary customers are, hobbyists, electronic and experimental musicians, sound designers for film and video games, and more recently, especially with the larger cabinets, they're composers for film scores. So it's a wide range of users. My process of building these cabinets is mostly handmade. It's organic, it's slow, but there's something in that process that I really enjoy. I try to use hand tools whenever possible. So I think at this point I've built around 100 of these cabinets, and I've determined there are about 40-ish steps in the process. Each step is pretty significant. About 38 of them are quite enjoyable, but when I get to the end, the steps involve the hardware and the mounting of the power supplies and a lot of repetitive, for a one-man shop like me, quite torturous steps. I've been using the Origin to come up with some templates for a more inexpensive line of cases that will be CNC'd. It's always difficult for me to look at what I'm drawing in the software and kind of come up with what it's going to look like in real life. So I've been doing lots of little templates and looking at it and making fine adjustments from there. And it'll be a nice complement to my handmade business. Origin came in and it made things really easy for me. These power supplies that I have to manually mount into the insides of a case this size would probably have 5 of these. There are 10 holes, 10 spacers, 10 screws that I would have to carefully line up and get them screwed in and repeat the process and do the wiring. A case of this size with 5 would usually take me, up to 2 hours. And if you're thinking about small batches of 5 to 10 cases, that's a significant amount of time. And that time spent is just not fun. My assistant Danny and I came up with a design for these power supplies specifically in Illustrator, and they pop right in. All I have to do is put a few small screws, 2 screws on the side. I've gone from 2 hours of installation to less than 10 minutes. So it's a huge time save for me. Here's the basic template. The thickness of the PCB on the power supply is about 1/16 of an inch. So the depths of those little standoffs are about 16. And then I just needed a little space below to let the solder side of the circuit board have some space in the tool holes. So the plan is I made enough prototypes that it looks great, and then I'm going to take it to a CNC place to have hundreds of them punched out for me on a 1/2 inch or maybe even a 1/4 inch thick of multiply. The other thing that I'm using the Origin for that's just saving me a ton of time are making these openings with a recess for a power plate and the switches go in. Since everything I do is unique and they change in size, which makes it time consuming and difficult, I'd have to make a new jig for each size of board. So the Origin and the grid feature, I was able to line them perfectly on a reference line and knock out an opening for the larger and the smaller openings effortlessly. There I had my jig, clamp it down, and I can just route these out really quickly. Where before I was taking a piece of plywood, I was gluing down and pinning in some stop blocks, and it would take me an hour where I can just rip this out in 10 minutes. So having the Origin deal with all these little very, very time-consuming repetitive tasks, I can focus more on the design and spend more time on the joinery and coming up with new innovative features, which have been great. Origin has sped up my process from going from an idea, a concept to reality.